Point 5, review and update your estate planning. Hey, we did touch on this last episode, but again, the older that we get, the closer we are to death, believe it or not. And that sounds odd to say, but we like to live in reality here and with our plans. So, yeah, I think this is probably more – it's important, but it's more important if you have blended family, if you have an estranged cat or something like that, and is that cat going to come and meow and try and go the other cats that you're friendly with, that you talk to? Like, this is the stuff where $1,000, couple of $1,000 doing all your estate planning documents, your will, your power of attorney, all that stuff. It can really save so much headaches.
And on there, which we didn't touch on too much last time, is your superannuation nomination or reversionary pensions, because with the super fund provider you're with, there is an additional nomination that by default that money might sit outside your will. And so it's important to make sure that that is valid, particularly when we were a couple and now there's only one of us left. How is that going to impact things? Do we want that to be the case? When do we bring in the power of attorney? Maybe some planning meetings that we touched on last time. When do they need to be across your whole affairs? Hey, by the way, I've got this account here and I do that there, and I look after the finances, and in case I'm not here, then mum might not be able to do this stuff or dad might not be able to do this, so it's important you understand how this fits into the picture. And then also there's, I suppose, a flow-on effect of that, of the tax implications, as you said, blended families, and also, whether we like it or not, aged care planning, but also Centrelink implications. I've seen many a situation where we're a couple, we're together, one of us passed and we're on the age pension, we're very comfortable, we've got $300,000 or $400,000 in pension phase, and we're a couple, we're on full pensions, and one of the members passes away. We now go to a Centrelink test as a single versus a couple, and our pension is drastically reduced, and that causes stress. In some cases, you've lost the pension completely because we're a single now. Perhaps there could have or should have been some proactive planning or gifting or making certain assets go in certain ways to reduce that impact. It's important to make sure that A, it's up to date, but also we're often bringing someone into the fold as part of those discussions.
Just on the, I think for the next moment of what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to assume that you are completely self-funded in your mid to late 70s, okay?
Yep.
So you're completely self-funded. Money isn't your problem, and you need to really start to work out, well, when you check out, if it's in 15 or 20 years or 5 years, what are you going to do with your money? And the reason I wanted to say that we're assuming you're completely self-funded, there are no issues with gifting and Centrelink. So the question is, if you do have more money than God and you're in your 70s or 80s or 90s or 60s, at any of these ages where you have more money than God and you will not ever be reliant on Centrelink, what's your giving plan going to be in terms of inheritances? Now, an inheritance by definition is received when someone dies, so we'll call it an early inheritance. Are you helping people out before you die? Because at the end of the day, if you give money to somebody, or often when wills get disputed, it's like, oh, I want that, or you shouldn't have that. The best time to ask someone about their wishes, about their will, if you've got a problem with it, is probably before they die and before you die. So my challenge would be, in this situation, sit down with your adult children, if you have them, and say, hey, everyone, just letting you all know now, when we check out, or I check out, if you're a widow or a widower and, you're by yourself, I'm giving 20% of my money to this charity here. Do you have a problem with that? Let me know right now. You guys can have the rest, but I'm just letting you know. So I think that's the dance of, and maybe start to give some of your money away now to charity while you're alive, so you can see and feel the benefit today. So, for example, if you were going to, when you die, give 20% of your net worth to a charity, well, let's make a number up. You might have $2 million. We'll call it $400,000, right? You got $400,000 that when you die of your net worth, you're going to give it to charity.
Yep.
The charity probably would like that money now, not in 10 years. So all I'm saying is, can you start to give money a higher amount monthly now? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's conversation. I mean, in terms of that, most of my clientele is in that space, 60, 70 self-funded and having these conversations.
I think the technical term is more money than God.
Yeah. Strong financial independence.
Yes.
But also, and that's where we do projection and go, hey, you're not spending this money in your lifetime. You're going to pass this on. How do we eliminate the different tax headaches but simplify affairs? But yeah, definitely the charity, and that might line up well with the tax headache. Hey, we need to tidy up this rental property. You're going to make a $300,000 gain and have to pay tax on that. If you give away $250,000, you sell it for $1.2 million. You give away $250,000, the tax headache's gone because you're that donation. We can claim and eliminate that. The proceeds, split that half with the 2 adult kids today. You're 77, they're 48, still with a mortgage to pay. That's going to sit in your bank account earning 3 or 4% interest, and you have to pay tax on it because we can't get into super. They're paying the bank 6% interest on their mortgage and can't afford holidays with their kids because they don't have the cash to do that.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. If we drill down on that, if you do have surplus cash and you do want to help your adult kids out and they do have a mortgage, I think it is fair game to say, hey guys, we will help you out. We'll go to the extreme scenario. Your mum and dad or me or your mum or me, we want to pay your mortgage off. We're in a really good financial position. We'll pay you and your brother or the 2 siblings. We're going to clear everyone's mortgage. However, there's a proviso here. We need you to be salary sacrificing to super the half of what your mortgage repayment was, whatever, because you're doing it so there can be some help for if they've got young kids and a bit of we can breathe a little bit with
Not
the
so
soccer
you retire
registration.
At 48 and
But it could be, or if you really want to help your kids out, you do it the other way, potentially, where you gift them cash into their super fund each year and they claim it on tax as a concessional contribution for them. So that reduces their tax each year.
Yeah, well, I did that last few weeks for a few clients,
And so you are helping your adult kids. You're getting some money off your table now because you know that you will have to one day. You're putting it into your son or daughter's super account. You're putting $20,000 a year. They'll claim it on tax as their own personal contribution. It could be a win-win.
And that's that proactiveness.
Or if you've raised kids that aren't entitled brats, you can go, we're paying off your mortgage. We know that you're not going to, you're staying out of consumer debt. You're not buying Gucci bags tomorrow. Or you're putting money into investment bonds for grandkids.
Yeah. So, and that's where we probably do, again, while there's, less of the moving into your own super at 78 versus at 58, there's a lot of that, okay, we're now in a position where we've done our active retirement, we've spent the money we're going to spend. We know we're not going to run out of this in the next 15 years. We want to make ssure you're looked after, if aged care facilities need to be paid for, et cetera, but this cream on the top, how do you want to best utilise that? And some of those items we've discussed today are part of those planning. And I think the joy that I can give when I'm saying to someone, you can afford to give your kid this or help the grandkid with that, and then they get to actually go in and do it rather than it's going to be in the will in how many years' time. They're not there to see that benefit of those funds.
Or if you want to help the grandkids now and you don't want to just gift a lump of cash because for whatever reason, you can say to their parents or the grandkids, hey, if you want to do insert hobby here, we'll pay for it. There's someone in my extended world where she's in year 1 or 2 now, And they were struggling a bit. And I said to her, for Christmas, one of my cousins gave her a little keyboard for Christmas. I gave her 3 months of piano lessons locally in Newcastle.
Yep.
And I said to this little girl, I said, hey, I will pay your piano lessons as long as you want to and you keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
You just need to ask me nicely each. And now, so at each start of each school term, the piano teacher sends me the invoice and I'm paying her piano lessons. It's $400 a quarter or a term. Adds up if you've got a young family. So you can do that with your niece and nephews, even if you're my age, or other family friends, or your grandkids.
And see that immediate impact and that power of that money.
So you can be like, I'm going to take you – and the cool thing is she sends me videos, and the piano teacher sends videos of Melissa like learning songs. And it's just really cool.
Yeah,
and
it's cool, yeah.
I've committed, as long as wants to do piano – until she's 18, I'll fund it. I don't care.
Did you sign the contract that you get a share of extra revenue if she goes in to be a full-time musician? And
That's
all
right.
That?
Yeah.
So
I'm the manager if you become a whatever. But so as a 70-year-old with surplus money for the grandkids thing, you can be like, yep, I'll pay for your piano lessons. And what we do, I pick you up from school. I drive you to piano lessons. We go get a milkshake after. Drop you home.
Yeah.
And that's kind of your gift to, I don't know, I'm just trying to think outside the box that in the back of your mind, you do want to, and you do know that one day your family will get your wealth if you decide to do that. If you decide to spend it all on yourself as well, knock yourself out.
Go for it.
There is just that expectation that you tell your adult children what you are planning to do with your wealth now and if you check out.
Agreed.
And it's similar like with my will. You know, I'm not in my 70s. I didn't send a copy to my mum, my dad and my sister and my executor. I sent them an email. Hey, friends, my will's at Aubrey Brown at Tuggerah. 10% of my estate's going to this charity here. The kids are going to get a couple $100,000 each if they're not on drugs and all that stuff, and it's to go on trust until they're 30. The rest will be split 50-50 between mum and dad and my sister. If you've got a problem now with what I've laid out, let me know.
Let me know, yeah.
Because I'll talk about it. If there's a compelling reason where whatever, I'll listen. But here's your chance, because if I die, you know, not only have got my assets, there's a big life insurance policy connected to my disability policy. So there's real money on the table if I check out. And I've just made sure it's very clear what happens when I do check out. And that's not saying, you know, we're saying if you're in your 70s, get ready to check out. This is just best practice. I did that in my late 30s as best practice. But the older we get, statistically, the sooner we're going to die. And we just have to live in reality.
Be proactive and get things set up efficiently. And also the executive who's going to be managing those affairs. And the practicality at some point of, is there a list of your bank accounts and your logons and your passwords and that kind of kit of documents, or is there a professional who's across your financial situation to know where those life policies are and those super statements and this trust deed and those kind of things that may be needed at a time in the future.
Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.